called to order. It's Wednesday, November the 2nd. First order of business is roll call.
We have Miller absent with notice. Wypert,
I am here.
Markham.
Here.
I do not see Cavell yet. Spiz.
Present.
Charles.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Ms. Markham, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any corrections? We're at the approval of the minutes portion of the agenda. Are there any corrections to the minutes of the previous meeting?
I will move the minutes of the previous meeting.
I'll support.
Thank you. Any discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Next is the approval of the agenda. Are there any changes or corrections to the agenda this time? All right, seeing none, we need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Support.
Thank you. Moved and supported. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries as well. Takes us into item 6 on our agenda, which is public comment. Is there anyone from the public who would like to address the committee? Seeing none, I will close public comment. We need a motion to receive and file communication items. Forgive me, I didn't look ahead. You probably gave me the cheat sheet.
Just one.
Capital
Yes,
improvement.
just the one, letter A, which is titled Facilities Planning and Engineering Capital Improvement Program Third Quarter Report. I need a motion to receive and file.
I'll move it.
I'll support.
Moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
By saying aye. Most opposed? Same sign. Motion carried. Takes us into consent, but we have no consent agenda matters today. Right on into item 8, which is the regular agenda. We need a motion to open item A, economic development, aviation and transportation, grant acceptance to rehabilitate runway 9L 27R construction, reconstruct runway lighting 9L 27R construct,
Taxiway.
thank you, taxiway L, rehab taxiways HJWKSN construction, and for reimbursement for NL 27R ASV analysis planning.
I'll move it.
Support.
Thank you. Moved to support it. I believe Ms. Bush I saw on the call. If you would like to give us your insight on this particular agenda item. Can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can. Certainly, I'd be happy to. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is a traditional grant fund request. This will be funded through the FAA, through our Michigan Block Grant State program. So it'll be issued through the Office of Aeronautics. This is for a rehabilitation of our parallel runway, 9 left, 27 right at Oakland County International Airport, very similar to the project that we had last year on our primary runway. So they will be rehabbing the runway, also rehabbing the connectors between the runways and taxiways, and improving the lighting to LED, which we are very impressed with on our original construction project from last year. So we're excited to add the LED lighting to our parallel runway. This also included a reimbursement for an ASV analysis, which you might not have seen before, which is an air service volume study that the FAA requires to justify having a secondary runway at this airport. And of course, it was approved. And so now we are including reimbursement for that study in this funding request.
Thank you.
That's much it.
All right, thank you so much. Are any questions from commissioners? Mr. Wypert?
Thank you. So, I mean, this is almost $10 million. This is a nice grant. I mean, it's,
Very nice.
and I mean, a lot of work's going to get done. It says it's going to be a 1-year window. Do you foresee any issues was slowing down, airport traffic, or, how does construction at all these runways gonna impact the airport?
Well, it'll be just the reverse of what we did last year on the primary runway. So the secondary runway will shut down, and thankfully the primary runway will be able to handle the overload. We'll start the project in April. It'll run about 90 days unless we have any hiccups along the way. And we don't anticipate any issues. We've already contracted with the primary general on the project, Ajax Paving, which is a very reliable contractor and knows the airport well. So we're not anticipating any challenges at this point.
And I was reading through the grant and the application. It seemed to say alternative sources of funding, and it had alternative payment, alternatives. Is there ever a case where it entirely gets paid by the feds and we don't have to do the complete match? Or
there were some funds available through COVID that allowed us to take advantage of that 95% federal, 5% Michigan, but that time has passed, and so we're back to the traditional 90 plus 5 and 5.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yes, and I see Mr. Cavell arrived. I want to make sure your mic is near you for if you have any comments or questions. And is there any other discussion on this item A? Cheryl, Ms. Bush, just because as I rode up here today, I saw a little fog, and we've had some incredible, amazing fog over the last week or so. Not germane to this particular matter. I'm curious, how do you guys handle that in terms, it is runways that you're using. Did you have to send planes in other directions? How did you manage that?
No, we didn't have any diversions, but sometimes it will delay takeoff depending on the set of rules that a pilot might be flying under. But it's burned off usually pretty early. It's very typical this time of year when the weather's changing and we're moving from the warmer weather into cold. So pilots can plan for that, and it's a normal course of business for us. Airport.
Just another day at the job. I love it. And then finally was federal funding. There's some state funding here. Do you see in the next few years when we talk about paving, because paving is such a it's a driver of climate change and towards the ranges that we don't want. So I'm just curious, do you hear any plans over the next few years where there's other technology that might be available for paving? And again, you don't have to have the answer. I'm just curious if you see anything on the horizon.
No, to be honest, I have not. The traditional paving construction techniques haven't been impacted from my perspective, at least, as of yet.
Okay. Thank you for that. And with nothing else from commissioners, we'll go ahead and prompt the vote.
You have 5 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Takes us into item B, a motion to open facilities maintenance and operations resolution to authorize jail elevators 1 and 3 hydraulic jack replacement project. Moved and supported, Mr. Spiz and Mr. Cavell. I see Mr. Murphy's on the call. The floor is yours, sir.
Good morning, Commissioners. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, I have Steve Foster. He's our project manager for this project, also on the line for the question and answer that will follow. This project is to replace the 30-year-old hydraulic jacks, hoists, and various equipment at the jail. The project was competitively bid through purchasing. Total project cost is $404,900, including contingency. So we're seeking to move forward with this project. It is funded out of the CIP plan, and we'll open it up for questions at this time.
All righty. Commissioners, any questions on our elevators and hydraulic jacks at the jail?
Just some general questions. I see it's 30 years old. What's the normal lifetime of a hydraulic jack elevator?
typically in the 20-year range. We've exceeded the life expectancy on that based on our preventive maintenance, very aggressive plan to keep those up and operating.
Well, that's good to hear. Now, from a technology standpoint, has any technology advancements happened over that 30 years that we're also going to incorporate?
Yeah, the emergency backup power supply is one of the big ones that we'll have in there. So if there is a power outage out there, we'll allow the elevators to go down to the appropriate floor and operate. That's the big one. Really, that's it. Nothing's really changed. The jacks themselves are double walled instead of a single wall to prevent, corrosion and the leaking part of it. So that's another thing that was implemented. So that's real, and the controls, more reliable computer systems and the controls.
Thank you.
Other questions? And it looks like you, in the notes, it says that it's taken out of service periodically due to unsafe operation. I, just like in my experiences with schools, just sometimes they don't really use those elevators. Is this an integral, I think is the word I'm looking for, part of the day-to-day operations?
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
They're used very often.
All righty. Well, seeing no other questions from the committee, we can go ahead and prompt the vote, please. Thank you.
You have 5 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. That motion carried. Next, I'll entertain.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, I'll entertain a motion to open item 8. Open 8C, Water Resource Commissioner Resolution to adopt MDOT Performance Resolution. And I'll take the motion to open that.
I'll move it.
I'll support. I
And
meant to bring a
I
bag.
don't want to
give the
mispronounce your
sheriffs, and
name.
it's sitting
Is it
on my
Bash?
kitchen table.
Okay. Mr. Bash, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. This is a relatively straightforward resolution, and under the state's new procedures, it requires a resolution and a permit to be updated annually. So the permit we're currently operating under expires at the end of this year. The new resolution will allow the Water Resources Commissioner's Office on behalf of Oakland County to continue working in state-owned easements without interruption. The permit we're currently operating under expires at the end of this year, and under the new rules, I expect I will be back next November to talk to you again. There is no cost to this. The permit charges and costs are waived for any work that's done within the jurisdiction, and our jurisdiction is Oakland County.
Thank you. Mr. Weipert.
Any reason for the change? I mean, do you,
I don't know. They have, the state has a new permit process where now your permits are done online. And I think with all the smaller municipalities that are doing some work within the state easements, and that's usually on trunk lines and expressways, I think they wanted to find a way to have a little better handle on who's doing that. Oakland County is obviously one of the bigger customers that does this, but we're in the same boat in doing, applying for the same permits.
Questions? Any further questions?
I do have one.
Yes.
Maybe it's just because I can't see it. But if I look at the performance resolution for municipalities, I don't see a date anywhere on there. So how do I know it's only for a year? And how do I know it's only until next year? Am I
I think
missing
it
it?
was-
I don't know. I didn't see a date on here anywhere.
I think it said annually, and it might have been in the cover resolution from the
It's in the
state.
resolution. I see it
Yeah.
on our side, but the paperwork we're doing with the state has no date in it whatsoever that I see.
Like an end date?
Yeah,
Item 8.
or even 2023.
Number 8, take a look at that.
From this date until canceled, in
So I have
that's just a cancellation.
the cover letter from the state that has the date,
Maybe I'm missing it. Okay.
the date when it was revised, and when the updated resolution will be required for 2023.
So you have it on a cover letter, I don't know.
Have it on the cover letter, and it identifies it as a annual permit
So
application.
if, just for a point of documentation, if
It
we
is
could
in
add.
the legislation too that I checked.
Okay, I just want to make sure it's added to our documentation so that we have it for our records. So if you could add that letter to what we have, I would appreciate it.
I believe that was provided, but if it.
You may have, it's
if
just not in our packet, at least I don't see it.
I will send it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And does this come to finance in a little bit? No.
No.
Straight to regular board? Okay. It's quite moot, but I still would prefer that we not consent agenda it without just verifying, because this transportation document looks like it's been Xeroxed a bajillion times.
Chair, it was in the legislation, I did check.
Okay. And I know it's been reviewed by court counsel, so, well, that's fair for now, and I appreciate you making this presentation. Any further questions?
Just an observation since we're looking at it.
Yeah.
Just something interesting is we use Anno Domini like AD in our state documents to say what year it is. Isn't
Oh.
that interesting?
Yeah, good catch. All right, well, I think there's still a vote necessary. We're still waiting on the vote. Okay, so let's prompt the vote, please.
You have 5 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you, that motion carries that, and thank you for your
Thank you.
presentation today.
That's what we'll go back in time.
It looks like we are through with our regular agenda, and now on to item 9, public comment. Do we have anyone here from the public who would like to address the Economic Development Infrastructure Committee?
You send it to me.
Seeing none, I'll go ahead and close public comment.
I'll, send it to you can just email it.
Oh, yes, other business, anyone?
Okay.
I like the beard. It's
Well,
sharp.
Working on it.
I will say that, and a few of you in the meeting know this, and I'll keep it to 60 seconds, that I inquired because of a resident reaching out to me about some of the plans with our ACOM study and some deliverables and just some uncertainty if those deliverables have been happening. And sent an email to the appropriate parties here at the county, and I do feel confident that Aaron is going to be, I think, presenting to us in the next couple of weeks about this. So it's kind of timely, but I did think economic development infrastructure was an appropriate place to at least bring that up. So, because I think I've learned from this side of the table and this side of the table that we pay a lot for studies. And we just want to make sure we get the data back and be able to make informed choices. So that's all I have. Anything else?
When's our next meeting? Just, do we
Not
need
the
to?
Not-
30th.
Not in November. We're not
All right.
meeting in November.
Just remind everybody, we
After
have
this.
the commissioner, or regional commissioners meeting, I can't remember the exact title of it.
Oh, the
The Tri-County
mobility
Summit.
thing.
yeah.
County Summit.
Yeah.
that's coming
In
up,
2 weeks.
It is.
the week on
18th,
17th,
right?
so,
17th.
Yeah, I think it's 17th, it's the Friday.
It's the Friday.
The 18th then.
Yeah.
Talk about
Okay.
water and broadband, right?
Correct.
And I did want to mention, Commissioner Weipert and I reviewed the Southfield Sustainable Southfield Master Plan today.
Yes.
And they got it going on compared to some of the ones we see. They really went very much into their neighborhoods. They contacted all the HOAs, and it's been a long process through COVID, but I felt like they really did a bang-up job, and if you haven't looked at it, you might want to.
Well, that is great to hear. I won't make this a Southfield-centric meeting, so I'll leave my comments offline. But thank you very much for that update. Mr. Weipert, Mr. Cavell, anything further from you all?
Nothing further.
Ferndale's got an awesome plan too.
Okay.
All right, well, I think that is adjournment time. Thank you for your attention. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Fine.
Sweet.